Jeremy, we'll be getting into your busy 2025 of Green Lantern you got
Right.
coming up. But before that, here at Bionic Buzz, we're all about people's passions. I want to know where your passion to be a storyteller came from that led you on this amazing journey being a comic book writer and screenwriting too.
The passion was that I was an uber nerd at a time where that was not wholly looked upon with joy and affection. um, no, I remember being in, I think it was like junior high, and we had to do I was in this honors English class or whatever, and we had to do this assignment. And I remember writing this thing. It was really silly and offbeat, and everybody in the class really laughed at it. And it was a significant high for somebody that was routinely beat up in junior high. That I was like, oh, that seemed kind of cool, you know. Um, but yeah, the passion for comic books and stuff. Obviously, my dad had drawn a little bit, and so I think there was a level. My parents were divorced very early on, and psychologically, I'm sure I was chasing after him in some way. Uh, but I've always loved. I mean, ever since before I can remember, I was kind of drowning in superheroes and Underoos and Star Wars and that sort of thing. It was always fun. So I didn't necessarily think it. I never thought it was a career path. I still don't necessarily think it's a career path, but um, yeah, it all just kind of culminated. I've always wanted to be in comics. I got my start in my career in animation and screenwriting, and I got the opportunity, and it was, I've been trying to get the opportunity for a long time, so it was really great to be able to do it.
Very cool. Thanks for sharing that. So let's dive in. You got Green Lantern Fractured Spectrum and Green Lantern number 19 coming out, but let's go back to October because this series kind of started there with Green Lantern Silver Corps Special. Okay, what can
Yeah.
you start about there?
Yeah, so when I started Green Lantern, we started very small about how on Earth, and there was all this mystery about what was going on in space. There was a quarantine we knew about. We knew something was going on with the United Planets, and we started kind of pulling at those threads during the series. And it led up to taking a lot of what happened in Jeff Thorne's run, a lot of what happened in Philip Kennedy Johnson's War World, where he had set up the United Planets and Lord Theros, and what happened in Jeff's run, and then me taking on those threads and just trying to come up with this idea of like, okay, well, United Planets have this giant source lantern, and they've got all these lanterns. They're kind of using it for nefarious purposes, or consolidating power, I should say. And through that time, Hal's starting to discover that, hey, there's a Green Lantern power battery on Earth. And it was kind of a designated survivor in case things went bad. And so now Hal takes off, finds out about United Planets, all the baddies, finds some of his comrades, and then things just spiral out of control. And by the end of this, the Source Lantern is destroyed. Theros is gone. Veron is gone, who's from Philip Kennedy Johnson's group, and we have a new status quo, which is all the power batteries have been destroyed in the universe. So the emotional spectrum is completely scattered and wild. So that means beings all over the universe are starting to manifest the emotional spectrum in a way, but no control over it. They don't have rings or anything. There's nothing to focus those powers into those central power batteries. So people are starting to manifest different colors. So now the Green Lanterns are back to being Green Lanterns, like they're going to patrol the universe, but they have this added wrinkle that there are these kind of emotional mutants showing up everywhere, and they have to figure out if they can help them and maybe bring them into the core, or if they can't, what happens to those people with regulated powers. And so that's kind of the course we're going on. Of course, the other piece of it is that the fractured spectrum part of that, the fractal lanterns part of it, is that you have your main emotional spectrum colors, but there are these fractures to it that manifest. And the first time we've seen it manifest is in Carol's ex-fiance, and he has become this character called the Sorrow, and he hates the fact that he feels sorrow, and he wants to get rid of this feeling of sorrow, which has led him straight to a character called Starbreaker, who's an old DC character, I used him once in The Flash, who was also an emotional vampire. So all of that will play out. Yes, all of that will play out in the upcoming year.
Very cool. I'm glad you brought up Carol because I really loved the chemistry between her and Hal, and then bringing up the ex-fiance. I thought that was really cool, like kind of like love triangle, kind of
Yeah,
triangle.
yeah. I really like Carol. Obviously, I don't know. I have an affinity for the romantic interests of the leads. So when I was writing The Flash, Linda became somebody that I really, really enjoyed writing, and I really dug. And with Carol, she's a fascinating character, but also, she's had this tenure of being Star Sapphire, not being Star Sapphire, blah blah blah. And so as she became kind of the last of the Zamorons and the last Star Sapphire, we just thought, even when I was talking to Mark Waid and Paul Kaminsky, we were talking about things like, well, what if she was on the Justice League rather than, everybody's on the Justice League, but what if she was on the Justice League? And we really made an effort to try to make her a top tier, female superhero, so that she's not just the love interest side character of a Green Lantern book. So she has a prominent role in that Justice League book, and then she shows up in Green Lantern, obviously, time to time, and she'll still have one foot in and one foot out. So it'll be cool.
Yeah, very excited. Well, everyone needs to check it out. Green Lantern Fractured Spectrum on sale January 8th, and then Green Lantern 19 on sale January 29th. But this all leads up to February 12th for Green Lantern Corps #1, huh?
Yeah. Yeah, that was, and that was such a natural offshoot because as I was concentrating on Hal being the Green Lantern, in the main book, very naturally, as he was getting to space and we started doing these backups, finding out what's happening to the other Earth Green Lanterns, and that became such a pivotal point of the Green Lantern book, and not just them, but like Kilowog and Sinestro and different characters, Razor. And so the cast of characters was getting big, and it was to a point where we're like, we just have to roll this into a Green Lantern Corps book, because it really had become a Green Lantern Corps book to a degree, and everybody seemed to be on board with it. And Morgan has done such a great job on Cyborg. He's such an incredible talent. Somebody who's just, I'm not at all jealous at the guy for coming right out of college and doing well. So we've been working together and coming up with some really neat stories. And of course, both Green Lantern Corps and Green Lantern will kind of play side by side. They know what's going on. I think Green Lantern Corps, more than anything, though, we are pushing into that being the place that if you want to know what's going on in the cosmological universe of the DC universe, you go there. If you want to, we want to throw in every space character that we can imagine, so that, hey, did you wonder what was going on with Space Cabbie? Great. Go to the Green Lantern Corps book. Omega Men? Sure. I'm sure they're going to be in there at some point, So that's been really, really fun to be able to play in the toy box of the space characters and just try to fill it up, because these guys are space cops, but that means that space is sort of Manhattan to a degree. I want there to be strange characters roaming around, and Morgan and I have been working dutifully at that.
Very cool. Well, before I let you go, you do have a new Aquaman series with artist John Timmons. Are you allowed to tease anything about that?
Yeah, I mean, it comes out this week, and it's exciting. I'm a nervous wreck over it. It's definitely maybe a different take. It has a very connected point of view to what's happening in the DC universe right now, especially after the All-In special and Darkseid showing up on the Watchtower. There's a lot of those threads that I'm playing with, but it's not what most people think of Aquaman is going to be, and that's been a little bit of heartburn for my soul. But I think you just write the story that you want to write, and I'm writing it hopefully upon success. I have kind of 3 different arcs that I'd like to do in Aquaman, and I'm well into the first arc, and I think it'll have people scratching their head, but hopefully in a good way. They'll be excited about it. Much like my editor was like, "This isn't at all what I thought it was going to be." I'm like, "Oh, is that bad?" He goes, "No, I'm enjoying it. I just, I'm like, okay." So it definitely has more of a high fantasy vibe to it, I think. But yeah, hopefully people will be along for the ride. I think Aquaman is an intimidating character because, it's not one of those. He's an interesting character that people used to make fun of. I think Jeff Johns kind of rehabbed him. There's been incredible runs like Peter David, but that was totally almost not continuity in a way. It was just a total different version. So this is the lighthouse keeper's son, and that's kind of where I framed it going in. So I'm excited. I'm not excited for the hate, but I'm excited for the love.
Gotcha. Well, I just want to correct everyone. The Fractured Spectrum's on sale January 8th, not the 15th. My bad.
I actually think you are right. I think it's the 15th. I think it got delayed a week, but that was no anybody's except I think a truck. So, correct. I think you're correct.
All right. Well, thank you so much for taking your time and talk to me.
Yeah.
And let's talk down the road of future projects and keep up the amazing work.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate it.